And I just cleared my Street Pass queue, so
too.
we are back. It's all that matters at a Street Pass event. You can't mess around with that. So Metroid is probably Nintendo series, one of the highest in my opinion, like very near and dear to me. I will never forget 2 games the first time I played them, and that was Gyromite. It was a bad game, but I love the music. I like Hip Tanaka's work a lot. I didn't know what that was when I was a kid, but I just loved that video games had more than just beeps and boots and deets and dots and sounds.
Did you play it with the robot?
No, but
really?
But,
Interesting.
Yeah. No, I played with my sister. I was like, hey, hit A right now.
Nice.
Open that door for me. But then Metroid was the other because I'd never played anything like that. I couldn't believe. First of all, I liked the idea of sci-fi. I guess that was the game that put me onto that. But then it just became about, wow, this is a really big world and a maze, and it's all 2D, and it's really hard, but it's also really good. So I really love Metroid. So the question for this panel, and we all love Metroid, 2D or 3D, what was the better game, or what is the better game for Metroid?
That's easy.
It's always easy.
No, it's.
It is.
I think in this case it's 3D, and I really, really love Super Metroid. I think it's one of the best games of all time. It's definitely my top 10, and I'll never forget like the just the feeling of walking into like the derelict space station and seeing all those little bugs swarming around. It's just so cool, like the feel of it. And I always loved the scanning. Like, for some odd reason, the scanning through walls thing just blew my mind that you could discover secrets like that. But Metroid Prime, man, the first time I played it, I was blown away. I just thought it was so cool. Like, they had taken everything that I loved about the original games, like this sense of like being completely lost in this world, like this, almost like the first Alien movie, right? Which obviously has a lot of similarities with the female hero and Ridley and all that, right?
That's right.
It had this, it had this amazing feeling to it, and then you kept on playing Metroid Prime, and you're like, why is this so good? Like it's made in Texas. Like it was, no offense, but
That was no vote of confidence.
No,
then?
but
R.I.P. Andrew Goldfarb.
I think you're right. Like Western games at that point on like Nintendo systems, there wasn't that reputation, or even on any Japanese.
Well,
system.
you had Half-Life, right? You had games on the
But
PC,
that was PC,
from that were that
I'm talking
good.
about console market.
But on consoles, we were used to games from like Acclaim and all these guys, and they were never that great. Turok obviously happened before that. It was pretty good. But like Metroid Prime was just so good, and you like walk into a level and the entire level is crooked. Like all the architecture is crooked, and you hadn't seen that in other first-person shooters. The level designers were struggling with not letting you clip through walls when they're straight, and this game did it all at an angle. It was just so good. 3D, for sure.
I really like that you brought up Turok, because the first time I played that game and I went to jump on something, I fell and didn't land on it.
Yep.
And then 10 more times I tried and I fell. But with Metroid Prime, the first time I jumped to a platform, I landed on it and I was like, how did they do that?
They tilt
and
the
then
camera.
it said, made in Texas. And I was like, wow.
That's
Metroid
brisket
Prime
power.
definitely solved the problem of platforming in a first-person game. Before
Yeah.
that, I mean, on PC it was sort of getting there, but I think Metroid on console completely established.
When
it
do
could
we
be
think
done.
is that problem solved?
Not yet.
I think people...
Think of Titanfall and how natural that feels now,
sure.
right? Like
Mirror's Edge,
you can land. Mirror's Edge was hard though,
Yeah.
right? That's all about making the jump. But they did this thing. When you jump, the camera just tilts slightly down. They give you the double jump, so even if you kind of miscalculate it a little bit, you can correct yourself, and it just works, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Plus the switching to 3D when you're in a ball is like the coolest thing ever.
That's so cool, yeah.
I think it's interesting because I went back and played Super Metroid after I played Metroid Prime. So I played those out of order. And I really was not impressed with Super Metroid. I thought it was good. What? I liked playing it. But I had already played Zero Mission. I
Take
know,
a point away
I'm
from
getting
Sam.
fired. But I think Zero Mission's a better 2D Metroid game than Super Metroid.
I agree.
Wow.
Yeah, I agree.
Whoa.
And I think it's the pinnacle
Boo this
of
man.
Metroid.
Heresy.
That's
Absolute heresy.
My son only plays 2 games.
I love how-
Minecraft and Zero Mission.
Really?
Great, yeah. I love how it modifies
And
the
Terraria.
original game so much. I think it's great. I love those Zero Suit parts of it. That's great, but that's not my favorite game. My favorite is definitely Metroid Prime also. And I actually, we recently did our top games of all time lists, like personal ones. And I actually, my number one was Metroid Prime. And the reason I gave among many, like I agree with everything Paris says. And I feel like this game's not even worth talking about. It's so perfect and great. Like so many people have said so much about it. But one thing that I think is really important to remember is that was like the last time Nintendo was at the top of its game tech-wise, and it was the best-looking game out. And
That's
there was
right.
no question about it.
Blew the doors off of anything else on
Yeah,
console
it was.
at its time.
There was just at that year there was. What's funny? IGN gave Game of the Year to Battlefield 1942. I
That
think.
year?
Yeah,
What?
but it was a really close vote.
I was powerless.
You can't spell ignorant with that IGN.
But obviously, at the time, there was.
I'm going to go back and change that. Is there a wiki I can go to?
There's a CMS you can go
Sorry,
to.
Sam. I didn't mean to do
No, it's
that.
fine.
Go
You
ahead.
know,
Yeah.
we actually came up with that joke. That's ours.
Oh, really?
We created that one. Yeah, yeah. We had T-shirts with ignorant. With
Oh, well, then
IGN.
now I hate it.
Yeah.
All right, Sam, go ahead.
All right,
Finish
go
your
ahead.
point. Sorry about
So I think at the time, first-person shooters were really focused on multiplayer that year, especially, and that became a really fun thing, and people really liked Halo right after that. And I think to have this kind of solitary first-person experience is something that we've also lost. We just don't get that much anymore. I think Portal is a great example of a great first-person shooter that's followed on the heels of Metroid Prime. But there's not enough of those games, and there's definitely not enough of Nintendo games like that anymore.
I just love how focused the story is too, right? I mean, you can hardly call it a story, but it's so clear. It's not like most first-person shooters where run into a room, kill all the enemies. You actually have this purpose. You're marooned there, you're stuck there, you're trying to get all your stuff back and just get out of there, basically.
Yeah, no, you totally
So
nailed
cool.
it. That's the difference between Metroid Prime and every other first-person shooter. Most other first-person shooters, you're walking down this long hallway, things are blowing up, and everyone's screaming at you. They're like, I got it out of that, and you're like, oh my god, I got it, and they're like, you did
For
it.
Titanfall.
Yeah,
Prepare for Titanfall.
but Metroid Prime was just it was very desolate, which is no one ever goes, we're making a first-person shooter. It's desolate. Okay.
And empty.
And it's made in Texas. But that's why I loved it. It was just very quiet and lonely, and you weren't getting transmissions the whole time, and you were in Metroid Prime 3.
And that music, man.
Yeah.
But in the first one, it was really just you're just a bounty hunter, and they nailed that feeling that they had in the original Metroid, where it was just I don't know where to go, I don't know what to do, let's just figure this out. Let's upgrade our suit, let's find cool stuff and kill bad guys and see what happens. So I'm going with Metroid Prime, 3D Metroid games.
Even the ones from Tecmo.
Team Ninja.
That never happened.
R.I.P. Oh, no, that's right. They're still around. But
What did IGN give that game?
I don't remember.
Yeah, you can't spell ignorant with that.
Wait, how much? What did
We didn't
Yeah,
do
what
that
did we?
great of a
Who
score.
reviewed it?
Mid-8s.
Nobody.
Mid-8s?
No one on this panel.
Yeah.
All right, we're good.
Okay, Martin.
I love the three of you. The three of you are three of my favorite people.
Why do you keep
in
doing
the world.
this?
You are all just terribly wrong. Jesus Christ. Okay, seriously. So we had a quick powwow a day or two ago about this podcast, and I said that Metroid Prime is the most overrated game of all time.
What?
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
It was weird.
Boo this
I must have
man.
walked
Marty.
Ryan punched me in the eye.
Yep.
Sam stabbed me in the foot, and Pear just docked my pay.
Marty, I have some bad news for you.
My bank account is just indescribably lower. To me, Super Metroid is the game that epitomizes atmosphere. That is the thing that any game past it that wants to do environmental storytelling just hasn't held a candle to it. Things you have modern things like BioShock, you have Gone Home, you have things that try to tell a story with the sense of place and the lack of dialogue or voices. And Metroid or Super Metroid to me just nails it into an incomparable
It's too purple.
degree. It's super purple. It's super. Did
got a
you
purple
live through
suit.
Did you live through the early to mid 90s?
9.5, too purple.
Yeah, that was all of the 90s. Everything was purpled and covered in ninjas. It
Yeah.
Only if it was
great.
from Nintendo.
Thanks,
It's
Clinton.
amazing.
Yeah, those are great times.
Yeah. But wait, everything you described is that's sort of Metroid Prime, right?
Okay,
It's-
so to me, I'm gonna be the weird guy where I'm very glad I didn't have to write about Metroid Prime ever because
I'm glad too you didn't write about it.
And
Metroid
you
Yeah,
never
also,
will.
you were 12. No one wants to read what you were writing.
I don't like Metroid.
To me, Metroid doesn't have
Sound
had the
off in the
beard.
comments below.
Metroid just doesn't have that. Metroid Prime, the 3D series, just doesn't have that je ne sais quoi to me. That doesn't. I don't
You
know.
have to
some-
explain what the je ne sais quoi
Je
now.
is it doesn't. Ne is the thing.
I don't know what.
Don't try to trick us with a big word that we don't understand.
It didn't have the
Purple.
purple. It did not have the purple to pull me through. And it's the weirdest game. It's one of those. I do not have the words to describe why I should, by any means, love Metroid Prime. Everything you guys said about, like, you know what games I love.
Absolutely,
I should love
yeah,
Metroid
totally.
Prime.
I'm actually kind of surprised.
I should love first-person
Did you
shooters.
try rolling in a ball?
Hold the
Because
shooter.
it's like Banjo-Kazooie if you roll in a ball.
Should I just roll in the ball the entire
Yeah, the
time?
whole
Is that
time.
all?
Yeah.
Okay, that's how I deal with like the bus.
All of life's problems can be solved
Yeah.
by
I feel like we need to play it again with you.
I would love a
Play the
Let's
Wii
Play.
one.
Yeah.
Teach Marty to love Metroid Prime.
I mean,
That's
it
why right
shouldn't
now
be.
we're going to play through the entire Metroid Prime trilogy.
The door's locked.
I bet someone in here can sequence break and do it in like 2 hours.
I'm sure, yeah.
Why am I Tingle?
Because Tingle looks like he's from Germany.
Oh, okay.
You also look like you have the tattoos from True Detective on you.
What's
So,
up, everybody?
I mean, I agree that Super Metroid is amazing. I think my favorite Metroid moment of all time was in Super Metroid. It's when you go through that glass tube, and I had gone through it like 100,000 times.
Yep.
And then I'm like, I'm just going to put a big bomb right here. And like, it busts the glass, and you're like, no way.
Yeah.
Like, you can go outside, and then you're in the water. And so,
See,
like,
I did that in Metroid Prime first, so.
and the music is all making farty noises, and it's
Sam,
great.
you're really weird. Like, you're the. I consider you the retro guy at IGN.
I didn't
You
like
keep-
Metroid or Zelda growing up. They're my favorite series now.
That's weird.
So strange.
I was a Mario kid.
All right.
What about you? What's your favorite?
Yeah.
I'm
Jose?
really torn here because I feel like Metroid Prime, or especially after Metroid Prime, 2D Metroid changed a lot. Where 2D Metroid became a lot more focused and them trying to kind of direct you. And Metroid Prime, for the most part, would let you get lost for a while before they'd be like, hey, incoming message. And then they'd be like, check over there. You'll be all right. I think the 3D Metroids win for me only because I had never played a game, and granted this is being done a lot today, but I'd never played a game where they really encapsulated you being the person. You are in the suit. You are Samus. Like, I don't think any first-person game had figured out quite how Retro Studios figured out the way to do a first-person game where, you had mist on the visor, where you had reflections every once in a while.
They
If you
still
shot
haven't.
something up close.
They seriously still haven't.
You don't see it as often, but look at something like Titanfall, where you get inside of the Titan, you're in a robot. You know it, the way it moves, the way everything is happening on screen. You feel it. And Halo 4 also, like that. There were some Metroid Prime art directors on that. They also helped bring that feel to Halo as well. But I think that
Goat Simulator was like that.
Yeah, a little bit.
Really felt
IGN's
like a
Game
goat.
of the Year 2014.
that's right.
Goatee.
So I'm going to go with the
That's
3D
the joke.
Metroids. This was really hard for me, though, because I do feel like 2D sort of changed maybe for the worse. I know some folks didn't really react to Fusion that well because it was the first game that sort of started the, hey, let's direct you a little more. You have this objective in this smaller area, find secrets while you're at it.
I didn't like the love story. That
Yeah,
was stupid.
but I also think that
Heartless.
Metroid Prime kind of maxed out on Metroid Prime. I think 2 and 3 had their struggles, and it was Retro trying to find another direction for the same ideas, and I don't think they really nailed it. I mean, Metroid Prime 2 tried the Dark Light worlds, tried the Dark Light weapons, they took away and changed, they tried new visors. The visor effects, by the way, so cool for their time. I think that, if anything, they got it right once, and they got it right so well, and then, it was just kind of sloped downward from there.
That's why I'm anti-sequel now.
Oh, really?
I'm kind of.
I misheard that.
I'm
for a
sick of them.
second.
You're
We're talking-
anti-sequel?
We're talking about games that I've played 32 of.
Okay.
But
So-
I'd rather play a new game than another Mario.
If Metroid gets announced tomorrow, which we're hoping, right? I mean, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze is done. What is Retro Studios doing right now? The new game has started. We all know that. They finished Donkey Kong in November. What it is, they're not saying yet anyway, but Reggie will wear a Metroid pin to, an award show. So who knows?
He's a tease.
But it is a tease. But if tomorrow Metroid gets announced, 2D or 3D?
3D.
Yeah, no question, 3D.
3D.
2D, absolutely. You're all awful. I'm not going to talk to you tomorrow at work.
And I'm going to vote 3D as well.
Jose!
Audience, sorry, left
You
you hanging.
chose
A2
wisely.
versus.
2D Metroid, announced tomorrow. 3D Metroid, announced tomorrow. 3Ds have it.
That's really close.
All
Yeah,
right.
that was really close.
Or
Yeah, that's
we
it.
just want Metroid.
That's also that.
We'll take anything.
What about pinball
Don't
perspective?
say we'll take anything.
Yeah, that's right. Metroid Prime Pinball 2 coming to 3DS.
Why hasn't there been a new 2D Metroid in such a long time? It's crazy, right?
That's
Yeah.
right.
Well,
it is
Other
really
M was
crazy.
kind of in between,
I would
Yeah.
that story has to be told because there have been, obviously games in development that have failed at some point, and like things have been scrapped. Like
Yeah.
there has been a 2D
Dread.
Metroid in a playable state at some point.
Oh yeah, and Metroid Dread, the one everyone
yeah.
would talk about,
What
right?
a terrible name, also.
That is
Metroid
really bad.
Dread.
Yeah,
That- you
Dread's
know-
cool.
Yeah.
Metroid's coming.
That was at one E3 we got this sheet with Nintendo titles in development, and like Metroid Dread is on it. We're like,
kills
what?
me.
And they're like, oh, that's nothing.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's weird that at some point a term was created called Metroidvania, and we don't get new Metroid games like that, and we don't get new Castlevania games like that anymore.
Yeah,
What
that's
the
right.
hell is going on?